Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And Stephen, I have to connect with you later about that hair gel guy, okay? It's good to be back at Northern Illinois University, where I was recruited by the Chicago Tribune as a journalism major, and I'm not going to tell you what year that was, okay? So what I'd like to do first is tell you that I have some good news for you, and I have some bad news for you, okay? We're going to start with the bad news, okay? Yeah, everybody's like, hey man, it's been a long week, right? You know, how about the good news? Tempting, but no. So anyway, the bad news is that in your lifetime, you'll probably never have a chance to walk on the surface of the moon. I bet that no one in this room, no one on Earth will have a chance to go into outer space and experience zero gravity like an astronaut among the stars. I shouldn't say no one, because astronauts certainly will. In fact, I think that in this room, most people won't have a chance to hover weightless in the cosmos, visit the International Space Station. Now, wait a minute. Having said that, this is a TED audience, right? Anything's possible, right? As long as we imagine the possibilities in our life, right? Imagine the possibilities. And that's what I want you all to do for the next few minutes with me, is imagine the possibilities as I take you on a journey, okay? Oh, don't worry. I'll have a tether securely holding you, okay, so you won't get away, as you go and experience the opportunity of freedom. What I'd like to do first, let me go back one. Let me tell you a little bit more about Diveheart, if I could, okay? Diveheart, I got to tell you good news, all right? So the good news is that even though you may never experience zero gravity, all right, what I can do is I can give you all the experience of inner space right here on Earth, okay? I can give you what we call the astronaut moment, all right? And I can do that not in outer space, but in inner space, okay? What is inner space, right? Well, the weightless wonder of the water column is 800 times denser than the atmosphere around us. That's why astronauts work in pools all over the world with the scuba divers underwater, okay? Because in order to become an astronaut, you must first become an aquanaut. You must understand the principles of zero gravity in inner space before you can venture into outer space, okay? So at Diveheart, our mantra is imagine the possibilities. And when we started, we thought that we'd be working with people with disabilities to build confidence, independence, and self-esteem in children, adults, and veterans. And we thought primarily we'd be working with individuals with physical disabilities, getting them out of their wheelchairs and getting them in the water and giving them a little bit of time to experience zero gravity. Little did we know that years later, we would be working with individuals with physical and cognitive disabilities, with children with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, as well as veterans with traumatic brain injuries and PTSD. I'd like to introduce you to one of our aquanauts, and that is Amber. Amber is here at 19, she's a world-class barefoot water skier. Imagine that, barefoot water skier. Amber was also an accomplished athlete. Here Amber's showing her prowess as a rock climber. She's in her prime at the top of her game. And you can see that Amber's having fun. She's living the life. And then one day, Amber did a jump. It was a jump she'd done 1,000 times before, but this time it went terribly wrong. Amber landed wrong, and she got a spinal cord injury. And in fact, technically, at that moment, she drowned. Her team, because of their quick response, was able to save her life. But Amber's life then had changed forever. With a C5 spinal cord injury, Amber's life would be very different as she moved forward. In fact, her new normal would include years of intensive therapy. It would include a wheelchair. It would include a regular bowel program. And also paralysis in her arms, legs, and her torso that would limit her from her usual normal activities. In fact, barefoot water skiing was now part of Amber's history. Okay? Individuals that undergo traumatic injuries experience anger, as did Amber. They also experienced depression. And Amber was depressed and actually would not come out of her room for months. Until one day, her sister Adora, who was determined to revive her spirit, drug Amber against her protest to a Dive Hard Scuba Experience program. What we do at these events is we get individuals with all disabilities in the water to give them the experience of weightlessness. In fact, university medical researchers that we work with have told us that this very first pool program a lot of times creates a paradigm shift in an individual. So it's not Amber in the wheelchair anymore, it's Amber the scuba diver. So now Amber goes, wow, if I can scuba dive, what else can I do? And she takes on other challenges. And this time, Amber's life has changed forever. This first day, Amber, the uncooperative, I guess you'd say, participant, was giving people a hard time. And later on she admitted, she said, yeah, I know I was kind of a pain in the butt, right? But she said, I was really thankful to my Dive Heart volunteer buddies who helped get me in the water, because once she was in the water, Amber was smitten. Amber fell in love with the freedom. She fell in love with the weightlessness of leaving her wheelchair up on land while she escaped gravity. Amber the Aquanaut would take a journey into inner space that would take her around, take her around the world. She would travel. She would make new friends. I mean, look at the smiles on their faces, right? Her new friends would also give her her astronaut moment over and over again. In fact, Amber is so independent now that she travels with her sister Adora around the world as a Dive Hard ambassador, inspiring people, not just with disabilities, but people of all abilities, to imagine the possibilities in their lives. Here Amber's having some fun. Believe it or not, she's 100 feet underwater, under the surface of the ocean. She's standing in front of, believe it or not, a barbecue grill with a spatula in her hand, right? But she's vertical, right? She's out of her wheelchair. She's neutrally buoyant. And I think we all can see that Amber has not lost her intrepid spirit or her sense of humor. It's me again, she said. You know, we all need to be loved, we all need to be valued, and we all need to have a purpose. And Amber now has a purpose again. It's Amber again. I'd like to take you on Amber's first open water dive. Now, remember, when you're diving, never hold your breath. That's the most important rule. So the first thing we do with Amber is we weight her properly. So if you look, you'll see the circles on her chest. Those are ankle weights, and we attach those to her buoyancy compensator, or her BC. And what we do is we try to get her trimmed out so that Amber is comfortable in the water. Making sure she's okay, then the next step is really to make sure she has enough air in her buoyancy compensator so that her breath, when she breathes in, takes her up, and when she exhales, it goes down. That's the sweet spot, right? That's how they achieve their astronaut moment. One of the greatest joys in my life is to give Amber and people of all abilities the opportunity to experience freedom like this. Look at her, she looks like an astronaut, right? Now, we are underwater, and it's really important to communicate. So on my slate that I take out, I want to make sure that I communicate with Amber and tell her that she has to remember to finesse her breathing. So Amber, when you breathe in, you're going to go up. When you exhale, you're going to go down, right? And Amber, it's also a technique I use to distract people that are having a little bit of anxiety issues underwater. And I say, Amber, you're an astronaut now. All right? Go show the world what you can do. Now, Amber's experience is hard to replicate a lot, right? Because we're going to different places where there's warm water, warm deep water, where they can get the benefits of inner space. In a pool, is where we really do most of the heavy lifting. Children and veterans and others with mobility issues love it because they can get out of their wheelchairs and get in the water and experience for a while zero gravity. What we want to do is replicate that over and over again. In fact, university medical researchers have told us that some of the benefits that they have seen with children with autism, for example. Now, they don't have to be real deep to experience this because when they get in the water, there's ambient pressure, and pressure is a therapy for kids with autism. They wear the weighted blankets and the pressure vests. So we've seen kids that we thought were nonverbal at times go down, come up, and go, wow, I really enjoyed that. I'd like to try it again. And we're going, oh my God, did that kid just say that, right? Researchers have also told us that veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder can benefit from this as well. And people who have chronic spinal cord pain, for someone who has pain for many years can also be pain-free as long as up to 3 weeks. The benefits of inner space, inner space is the great equalizer. And what we want to do is help people realize that it helps their body, mind, and spirit. What we call this is scuba therapy. Now, when we add deep water, okay, and the hyperbaric benefits of journeying down deep into inner space, I think the potential for healing is endless. And researchers have told us again that they're seeing things, and I don't know how many studies we've done, with university medical centers, but what we found is this is the next big thing. Okay, we're only scratching the surface when it comes to research, and that's why one of our goals at DiveHeart is to build the deepest warm water therapy pool in the world. Okay, so that we can replicate what we're seeing in open water over the years with people with disabilities. And we're not going to stop there. I'd like to introduce you to another aquanaut at DiveHeart, and his name is Lenny. Now, Lenny, like Amber, is a champion athlete, and he's also a successful businessman. Lenny also is an adventurer. He travels all over the world, and he's an accomplished scuba diver. In fact, he's a dive master, which is one level below instructor. Lenny also is an entertainer and a showman. And Lenny's also a champion springboard diver, and he teaches diving as well. Now, like Amber, Lenny was doing a flip one day, and landed terribly wrong. What it did is it left Lenny with a C3, complete cervical injury, so Lenny cannot move his arms or his legs. Obviously, Lenny's life had changed forever, and actually Lenny now needs a ventilator to breathe for him. Okay, so what's Lenny doing next, right? Well, Lenny, the aquanaut, is pushing limits and is collaborating with DiveHeart and with professors at Northwestern University, and as well as engineers there, and individuals in the medical community and the dive community. And our goal is to make Lenny the world's first deep water ventilator-dependent diver, right? Deep water ventilator-dependent diver. I mean, think about that for a second. That's pushing the limits. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 of Lenny's ventilators and we're going to put them in kind of an underwater camera housing type of thing with and you can tell I'm not an engineer, right? And with a gas block, so that when we take Lenny deep in the event of an emergency, we can switch from one ventilator to the next ventilator. We're also going to put Lenny in a custom dry suit that keeps his body dry, along with a full face mask to protect his airway. We're going to then take his ventilator hose and we're going to bring it down into a custom port in his dry suit, and on the inside we're going to bring the ventilator hose up to his trach, right, so that the ventilator can deliver air to him while he's diving. You know, it's funny, a CNN producer came up to me after we had filmed a feature, and it was about taking Gold Star families and veterans with disabilities and bringing them together because they both had this new normal, and the object was to get them to heal. And it was a home run. It's Stories of Courage. It's in our media kit at diveheart.org, and I'd encourage you to check it out. But he came up to me at the end of the week and he says, I got it. He goes, I get it. He goes, scuba divers. He goes, you guys are the poor man's astronaut. I went, what did you just say? He said, scuba divers, you're the poor man's astronaut. I said, poor man's astronaut. I go, dude, I'm totally stealing that line, right? And you know, as aquanauts, I guess we are the poor man's astronaut. I mean, what we do is we experience in inner space weightlessness the same way that astronauts experience that in outer space, right? So what's the future hold for scuba therapy? We believe that this is going to revolutionize rehabilitation, not just for people with disabilities, but for people of all abilities. And we think that research is going to help improve the quality of life for people, and it's going to give them hope and healing. And we're hoping that that when we build this deep warm water therapy pool, that we can help usher that in. We can help make that a destination where people from all over the world can come and experience the benefits of deep warm water. Because right now, the only place that you can get this experience is in open water. And you can get it in lakes, you can get it in oceans, but it's really kind of dangerous. There's water movement, there's aquatic life, there's visibility, there's a lot of things that you have to deal with that you wouldn't have to deal with in a warm, deep water confined pool. So that's our goal, is to make that a destination. We want to do that here in Illinois so that we can really revolutionize rehabilitation, change the world for people of all abilities. So just want to say thank you for being here. Go out and imagine the possibilities in your life. I do want to say one more thing, and that is the real heroes are here today of the show, and that is Amber, the aquanaut, her sister Adora, and her mother Tracy. So thank you guys. I love you.